are at different levels, okay? They're at different levels. So I'm seeing this as maybe a little bit smaller than 1/2 inch below. But where is that here? If I put it here, that wouldn't really be accurate, okay? So her back neck kind of goes to this mark right here. So you can imagine her back neck is sort of like this, okay? So it might be a good idea to just pencil that in for yourself as a little bit of a helper. And I'm going to put my center back neck. So remember, this was point number 1. This is point number 2. Right? How do I find point number 3? Any ideas? Or 0? How should I find 0?
The bottom center.
Yeah. So how far down? Okay. So the question is, how far down from what? This dress form has tape on it. This is the draping class. They put some black tape on all of the forms, and the tape is representing different levels. Now the students put this tape on, so I wouldn't trust, I have a good class, but I wouldn't necessarily trust this hip tape, because they had to figure this one out on their own. What I do trust is the waist tape, because all they had to do was cover the manufacturer's waist tape. So we're going to trust the waist tape. She has a waistline drawn in, and that waistline is represented by the bottom edge of this tape. Okay? So what I like to do for all kind of length measurements is I either start from the neck, because that's a real measurement that I can find here, or start from the waist. And you can feel it. It's a thick tape. So I'm going to feel this now, and I'm going to measure down from the bottom of that tape and see how long that is. And I'm going to round up to 9 inches. So all I need to do now is go here and count down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. What about for, so this is point 0, right? What about for over here? Okay. Now if I measured this way, I'd have to bend the ruler. And it bends, it's meant to bend. And then if I drew it flat, it would be all the way out here. You seeing that? So I'm not actually going to measure that way, because it's going to give me a different look. Let me show you really quick what the finished product is going to look like. So this is the same shirt, drawn on the same day, and one was drawn flat on the table, like you just did. It looks like the shirt. And this one was drawn on the dress form. What do you notice? Same shirt, same day. She's curvier. She's thinner.
It's missing inches on each side.
It's missing inches on each side. Which one's better?
The second. The flat.
Depends. I'm going to tell you depends. Like we got curvier, we got the flat. What would this one be good for? Pattern, manufacturing, graphic artwork. Like if I need a screen print to really fit on a shirt, I want it to really fit on a shirt, whereas it might not quite fit the right way on here. What's this one good for? Advertising. Who's our consumer? If I'm the designer, I actually have a few consumers along the way. I have my boss that I have to get him to approve whatever, or her. My buyer, honestly, is one of my major consumers. I want to make my buyer happy. Yeah, I want to make my consumer happy too, and that's in the beginning of my head when I'm thinking about designing. Ultimately, what does the consumer want? But when I'm making presentation materials, this is purely for the buyer. So also it depends on your market. When I was a children's wear designer for many, many years, I drew everything like this. Okay, and then I became a menswear designer, and I continued to draw everything like this. Okay. Then I dabbled in juniors for a while, and my partner in the juniors division, she found out that I could draw really well, so she's like, can you revamp all of the flat drawings in our system? And I'm like, sure, no problem. And I drew a few things. She gave me a bunch of garments. I measured them. I did a really good job. And she came into my office one day. She's like, what? These are ugly. I'm like, what do you mean they're perfect? And she's like, oh, they look fat. I'm like, but they're perfect. Measure them. She wanted this because her customer, our customer, wants to feel thin, wants to appear, and This way you're seeing how it looks when it's actually being worn, right? This is what it looks like when it's on the table. This is what it looks like when it's being worn and fleshed out by a human being. So we can't use flat measurements for this one, except for vertical, right? But if I make a curvy measurement and then I draw it flat, it becomes chubby again. Okay? So you kind of have to know what your end result is. If it's a factory or a category that, like, I don't know very many men that would prefer to look like this, right? Maybe they'd like their waist a little bit smaller, but they're not going to want to look as curvy necessarily, okay? So you need to know your market, know your customer, know what the end use of your drawing is.